This thing working? Let's see if it's actually working. What is up, guys? I am doing a stream on how to save money and build wealth as a truck driver. This was actually requested by Pony Up last week. I'm testing it out on my new laptop, so we will see how this goes. Let me know how that audio is. If it's wonky, I can just do it on my phone from now on, but should be pretty decent. It's a brand new laptop, but you know, they don't build things like they used to. So, what is going on? So, today we are talking about saving money and building wealth. So, first off, you need to save money to be able to invest whatever it is you're going to invest in, right? That personally starts with you saving money in the way of knowing what your expenses are every single month, building a budget, and also making sure you're limiting your expenses to the point where if you have more money than you have, or if you have more money coming in than you're spending, then you actually have money to invest. So if you don't have money left over at the end of every month, your paycheck to paycheck to invest, then you need to start cutting expenses, right? You need to start cutting expenses that you don't need. We all have expenses that we don't actually need to spend money on, whether it's going out to eat or, subscription services that you don't actually use anymore. Doesn't matter. Really doesn't matter. So there's stuff that everybody can cut out. I was paying like $70 a month, for example, for a Verizon service, which it was all right as far as my phone goes. But I just realized, you know what? So long as I can get unlimited service, I can just go to Mint Mobile, and I pay like $300 a year now. So instead of $70 a month, which is, $840 a year, I'm spending less than half of that for essentially the same service. So that allows me to invest. That allows me to put that money towards saving and investing instead of, going towards Verizon. Same thing with just random discretionary spending, buying stuff that I don't actually need. So it starts with you going through and actually making sure, okay, every single time I go to the store or I'm thinking about buying something, deciding, do I actually need this? Is this a want or is this a need? Is this actually, going towards my basic needs of, utilities, food, and, not just going to a restaurant that, it'd be nice to go to a restaurant every single day, obviously. But if I'm already spending money on groceries, do I actually need to buy this food, or can I just meal prep and save money that way and then put that money that I was going to put towards that restaurant or wherever I was going to buy food towards saving and investing? So again, starts with knowing what's coming in as far as your income, obviously, and then writing down, or you can use budgeting apps, doesn't matter. They'll track it for you if you don't want to. You can basically track, or you'll need to track every expense that you have, and then decide what you can cut from there that you don't actually need to spend money on. And then you'll start to understand, okay, I have this much left over. Or, if you still don't have money left over and you're still spending more than you bring in, even just on basic stuff, then you need to make more money. And you can do that by picking up more hours. Certainly if you're in trucking, or getting a side gig, if you don't have hours available to pick up. But that's the short and the sweet of it is, if you want to build wealth and you don't have enough money every month to do so, you need to work more. It's just that simple. I wish it wasn't that way, but it is. So that being said, so once you understand where money is going on a monthly basis, and you now have some discretionary funds, say it's like $500, which that's about all you need. That's about all you need as far as investing goes. Because it doesn't take all that much, especially if you're getting a 401k match from your employer, which I know not everybody has, but if your employer is generous enough to offer a 401k match, where if you put in a certain amount of money, they will match you, whether it's dollar for dollar, like my company, they do a 5% dollar for dollar match here at Gemini Motor Transport, or if it's I think Pilot, for example, was a 6% match, but it was only 50 cents on every dollar that you put in, up to 6% that they would match you. So you put in $6, they would match you up to, $3, for example. Go ahead and get that match, start investing. And then once you start investing through that 401k, obviously you need to decide what you're going to invest in, because you need to put that money to work, because it is free money that you're getting if you are getting a 401k match. And what you need to invest in, completely up to you. That's going to be completely dependent upon what you want to invest in. I'm not going to be able to make that decision for you. I can only tell you what I invest in. I'm not, not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Just let me throw that out there. I am by no means independently wealthy yet. I'm only a year and I guess about a year and a half almost at this point into my wealth building journey, as far as when I started my 401k, and then also started a taxable brokerage account about 9 months ago at this point. So I am not independently wealthy yet, but I've gotten the ball rolling and I've had some decent success in doing that. So again, I can't tell you what to invest in. You're going to have to do that for yourself and what you are comfortable with as far as, your risk tolerances and all that. Personally, I like low cost, and I mean by low cost, like the expense ratios for however much money you're putting in. They're going to charge you, X percentage for maintaining that account for whatever you invest in. So for expense ratios, if you get into the actively managed funds where there's a fund manager that is, managing the fund for you, and this includes retirement account or retirement, what are they called? Retirement. Basically, there's a type of investment fund that is actively managed that you can put your money into, that will change what you're invested in depending upon when you're supposed to retire or when you want to retire. Forget the actual name of it. I think it's like target date retirement funds. So if you want to invest in one of those are fine as well. But obviously they have a much higher expense ratio. They're like sometimes upwards of 2 or 3%. I think usually they're around 1%, but it can be pretty high. So if you put in, $100, they're going to take $1 or $2 or $3 of that as a fee for managing that account, versus if you go to something like non-active managed funds or indexes, you can do the S&P 500 index, for example, which is what I do. And through my 401k, I do VINIX. Again, that's just what I do. You'll have to make your own decisions. But I've had good success with that thus far. And again, past returns do not guarantee future returns. So, but I figured we'd look at the performance of that over the last year, which has been, you guys probably aren't going to be able to see this, but so VINIX, which is just the Vanguard S&P 500 index fund. It's got a very low expense ratio of 0.035%. I started investing into that November of 2024. And then still, it's my 5% match, and I'm just doing the match for right now, but later this year, I will be increasing my contributions 1% every single year until I hit 10%. So for the next 5 years, I'll raise it 1% as far as my contribution. But so what we do, so what I do, it's as far as my 401k, it's 100% into VINIX. And I have about, as of checking right now, I have about $18,400 or so in my 401k since November of 2024 that I've invested in there. Now, half that was not for me. Half of that, so about $9,000 of that came from the company because it's a 401k match. And it's basically 50% of that, of what's in there, is money that they gave me for free. And I don't have to, it's not, it's 100% mine, basically. So if I got fired or if I left the company for whatever reason, I would keep all that money. There's no investment time period where at some companies you'll go to invest in their 401k and they'll say, okay, you're fully vested after 2 years or whatever. So meaning it's not all of your money until you've been there for 2 years, whatever the terms that they set up for their 401k are. So, getting back to it, for VINIX and why I did it, I just like low cost index funds because, at least for the S&P 500 indexes, since the S&P 500 has been a thing, which I think it was like the 1920s, 1930s, it was set up. They averaged out all of the up years, all of the bull markets and then all of the bear markets. All of that combined has been an average of 8% per year that you still get. So averaging that, so including the down years, including the years that they didn't make, or it was down, and including the up years when it was doing really well, it still averaged out over the course of its inception since it was created to 8% a year. So that's pretty steady. Obviously, could you get better returns than that? No doubt. But it makes personally investing a lot easier because it's already weighted. At least a lot of the S&P 500 indexes are already weighted to where if a large company inside the S&P 500 index goes bankrupt, it gets automatically moved out and then it gets replaced by the next biggest company. So it's all vested. There's no, you're not worrying or stressing on a daily basis about how your single stock is doing if you want, versus, doing index investing. It's just there. It's another reason, a big pro for me of doing index investing is it's already diversified. It's already diversified across pretty much every sector of the economy. And you can also do index funds of the entire global stock market as well, which I do in my brokerage account, which is I personally use VT, which is the Vanguard Total World Stock Market Index Fund. That's also done really well. I think that has averaged, since I started investing, about 9%. So if you want to be globally diversified and not just diversified wholly within the United States economy, that's another good option as well. Also very low expense ratio. But again, this is not investing advice. You're going to have to do your own research and see what works for you. And again, guaranteed or past returns do not guarantee future returns. So keep that in mind as well. Otherwise, I also have invested in my brokerage account, QQQM, which is it's the top 100 tech companies inside the NASDAQ, or basically, the finance, or not the finance, trying to find the right word for it. It's essentially tech companies, the top 100 tech companies in the United States. And so that has done pretty well for me as well. That's done about 8 or 9% this past year. And again, I didn't start at the very beginning of the year. As far as my brokerage account, I started in like April. So I missed out on the returns from like, January to April, but that's also done very well. That's also got a decently low. Let's actually look that up here for your reference. QQQM. Let's see. Where is the expense ratio? Expense ratio. So expense ratio is going to be a little bit higher than, the S&P 500 index, for example, that I use. It's going to be 0.15 instead of 0.035, like for VINIX, but still better than like the original QQQ, which is 0.2. So it's an extra 0.05% more expensive. And it's, let's see.